Okay, I'm gonna start this thing. What up, everybody? Everybody who's here. Vicious E, and Baby Yoda doing our things. Sorry it took a little long to jump on here. Had to freshen up and change Baby Yoda's diaper or whatnot. There we go. There we go. So today's a very special day, a very momentous occasion, monumental, as they say. Turd flinging monkey. I've been listening to this douchebag for a long time against my, my own mental and physical health, and he finally said the magic words today, which I've never heard him speak. CIA. Yeah, I know I'm the best dad, Karen. But, yeah, I've never heard him mention the CIA till today. Very, very, excited. So let's see the context of what he did. Let me see if I can find the right time in here. It's going to be around right there. Alright. Alright, so let's see what he has to say about the CIA. It should be really good.
Oversight committee meetings and surveys, just drag it out for 8 years, because in 8 years Trump will be gone, and if a Democrat gets elected, it gets Thanos snapped away like it never even happened.
Here we go.
So people ask a lot, like, what side is the CIA on? Like, are they commies too, or?
So very simple questions right out the gate. Which side are the CIA on? Are they commies or are they anti-communist? Which side is the CIA on? I'm just gonna repeat that. I don't want you guys to think you misheard me or misheard him. Which side is the CIA on? Man, that's a real fucking head scratcher. You think the CIA is going around the globe trying to spread communism? Do you think that the CIA is trying to spread communism throughout the United States and just have the people take control of the means of production? Have everybody paid a fair wage, all that egalitarian shit. Is that what the CIA is about? I don't know. Let's listen to the monkey, the genius over here. He'll know exactly how to answer this one.
Not yours. Yeah, they're not yours. So here's the thing about the military, though. People make a lot of hay about the military being majority conservative or majority Trump voters. That means nothing. The military is conditioned to follow orders, just like the CIA, just like the FBI. This whole rogue.
Not yours. Affiliated.
Yeah, they're not yours. So here's the thing about the military, though. People make a lot of hay about the military being majority conservative or majority Trump voters. That means nothing. The military is conditioned to follow orders, just like the CIA, just like the FBI. This whole rogue, it's all bullshit. You people don't know what the fuck you're talking about. They all follow orders. They're all conditioned to follow orders. The entire chain of command of the military is there to ensure that they follow orders. So when you see this literally happening in these blue states. So in these blue states, a lot of police have quit. Or they put in for early retirement, or they just walked off the job, or whatever, right? We saw all kinds of reports months ago of in Portland and in Minnesota.
Yeah, so now he's just rambling off and avoiding the question. But I mean, just the fact that I even said CIA on his show, I mean, bravo, TFM. I almost think you're not a bad faith actor now. I mean, you're still a million videos away from me thinking you're not a bad faith actor. And that you are totally unbiased. You're a million videos away from that, but holy shit, you took a little tiny baby step, just a little tiny Yoda step to sincerity. So that's interesting. Now, the answer he gives is totally nonsensical rambling and has nothing to do with the CIA or the question that was just asked. And I guess I'll play it just to show that I'm not lying. But,
Minnesota, whatever. All these police departments, as they were threatening their funding, and as they were prosecuting police for murder, police were just walking off the job. That's all the Republicans will do if there's a civil war. They will not point their guns at the mayor and say you're under arrest. They will not turn their guns on their fellow soldiers or police and say, over from my cold dead hands. They'll walk away. And so at that point, sure, you had some quote-unquote good police, good soldiers, stand up for their principles, but they're useless to you now. They've now given up the one thing they could have offered your side, which is their military, might. So now, at the end of the day, the leftists will control the military.
So there you go. Do the CIA control? Are the CIA communist? Are they trying to spread communism, around the globe? That doesn't matter. All that matters is that they're there to follow orders, and eventually the leftists are going to take over the country. So that was his little non-answer, his nonsensical rambling that had nothing to do with anything. But he did say CIA, and holy shit. I swear to God, that has to be the first time I've ever heard him say it. Now, to be fair, someone asked him a question directly about the CIA. Had that dude, the dude on the stream, I don't know who he was, had he never brought that question to TFM, he probably would still, to this day, have never said the letter CIA, consecutively in a sentence throughout his entire fucking career. But, wow, just to hear him say it, just mind-blowing to me. But the nonsensical answer, all that rambling about fucking, military or, whatever, had nothing to do with anything. Now, I'll answer the guy's question. No, the CIA isn't communist. Everyone knows that. Everyone on the fucking planet knows that. It's a simple question to answer. No, they hate communism. They're trying to thwart communism. Actively. Everyone knows that. It's not a secret. Not anymore, at least. Don't take my word for it. I think I have a article here by this dude named James Petrus. Wrote a book on it. I don't know how biased he is or whatever, but he seems like a legit dude. So he wrote this book. I'll try to run through it real quick. What up, propaganda? I'm glad to see you in here, man. CIA is trying to spread neoliberalism around the globe, and that is a far right-wing ideology. Yeah, couldn't agree more. Sublimation. No, you're going to have to break sublimation down. And while you're doing that, I will read this, Karen. Now, this book provides a detailed account of the ways in which the CIA penetrated and influenced a vast array of cultural organizations through its front groups and via friendly philanthropic organizations like the Ford, the Rockefeller Foundations. The author, France Stoner Saunders, details how and why the CIA ran cultural congress, mounted exhibits, and organized concerts. The CIA also published and translated well-known authors who towed the Washington line, sponsored abstract art to counteract art with any social content, and throughout the world subsidized journalists that criticized Marxism, communism, and revolutionary politics and apologized for or ignored violent and destructive imperialist U.S. policies. Sounds a lot like somebody we know, criticizing Marxism, communism, and revolutionary politics and apologizing for or ignoring violent and destructive imperialist U.S. policies. Sounds like a lot of people we know, don't we? But just in this context, I'm thinking of the monkey lame. Turd flinging. That one. Anywho, let's continue. Here we go. The CIA was able to harness some of the most vocal exponents of intellectual freedom in the West in service of these policies, to the extent that some intellectuals were directly on the CIA payroll. Many were knowingly involved with CIA projects, and others drifted in and out of its orbit, claiming ignorance of the CIA connection after their CIA sponsors were publicly exposed during the late 1960s and the Vietnam War. after the turn of the political tide to the left. So, we haven't gotten too deep into it, but just already off the bat, the CIA is subsidizing journalists that criticize Marxism, communism, and revolutionary politics, and running cultural exhibits, organizing concerts. They're going out of their way to thwart communism and socialism in any way that they can, in the most sneaky ways that they can. Okay? So no, the CIA isn't communist. They probably never will be, or they won't be for a long time. Personally, I just hope they, just get disbanded by the next president, but I'm not holding my fucking breath. But, Karen, so we're talking about sublimation. I haven't forgotten. It's like putting a transfer on a shirt, but it's done with high heat that injects dye into the shirt. It's soft, not sticky like a vinyl transfer. So it's like a tie-dye shirt. Sublimation. The sublimation, is that derived from Sublime, the band? I think they wear tie-dye shirts sometimes. And I'm sure it's not from the band. That would be weird. But, that's interesting. But anyway, back to the article. U.S. and European anti-communist publications receiving direct or indirect funding included Partisan Review, Kenyon Review, New Leader, Encounter, and many others. Among the intellectuals who were funded and promoted by the CIA were Irving Kristol, Melvin Lasky, Isaiah Berlin, Stephen Spender, Sidney Hook, Daniel Bell, Dwight McDonald, Robert Lowell, Hannah Arendt, Mary McCarthy, and numerous others in the United States and Europe. In Europe, the CIA was particularly interested in and promoting the democratic left. And ex-leftists, including Ignacio Silone, Stephen Spender, Arthur Koestler, Raymond Aron, Anthony Crossland, Michael Jocelyn, and George Orwell. George Orwell, we know him. We know a George Orwell, don't we? So it said in Europe, the CIA was particularly interested in promoting the democratic left, an ex-leftist. Oh yeah, because George Orwell, yeah, he's basically an ex-leftist. If you read his stuff, he's very... Animal Farm was kind of very anti-communist. Kind of very. But yeah, Animal Farm was an anti-communist book. I still like the book. I like the idea of just animals just taking over a farm. I think that was I don't know. I just thought it was a cool movie like that. But I understand that the undertones and the themes were very, very anti-communist. That did not evade my notice. But whatever. Still good books. I like Orwell stuff. Anyway. So I'm just kind of running off names here. I'm going to skip down to this one. Figures truth. Well, actually, I guess that part's kind of important. What was particularly bizarre about this collection of CIA-funded intellectuals was not only their political partisanship, but their pretense that they were disinterested seekers of truth, iconoclastic humanists, free-spirited intellectuals, or artists for art's sake, who counterposed themselves to the corrupted, committed house hacks of the Stalinist apparatus. It is impossible to believe their claims of ignorance of CIA ties. How could they ignore the absence in the journals of any basic criticism of the numerous lynchings throughout the southern United States during the whole period? Whoa. How could they ignore the absence during their cultural congresses of criticism of U.S. imperialist intervention in Guatemala, Iran, Greece, and Korea that led to millions of deaths? How could they ignore the gross apologies of every imperialist crime of their day in the journals in which they wrote? They were all soldiers, some glib, vitriolic, crude, and polemical, like Hook and Lasky. I honestly do not know what polemical means. We're moving on. Other elegant essayists like Stephen Spender or self-righteous informers like George Orwell. Saunders portrays the WASP Ivy League elite at the CIA holding in strings and a vitriolic Jewish ex-leftist snarling at leftist dissidents. When the truth came out in the late 1960s in New York, Paris and London, intellectuals feigned indignation at having been used. the CIA retaliated. Tom Brandon, who directed the international organizations branch of the CIA, blew their cover by detailing how they all had to have known who paid their salaries and stipends. So, yeah. So damn, dude, I didn't know. God, man, I didn't know Orwell was that close to the CIA. Maybe I was naive, vicious E. I still enjoy his books though. 1984, man, like that's one of my favorite books. So that's a damn shame. Anti-Bolshevik. I don't know. I'm pretty sure the CIA is definitely anti-communist propaganda. Like all the coups that they attempted in South America, they didn't really have that much to do with the Bolsheviks. I'm sure the Russians were helping a lot of the communist countries in South America, but it seemed like just the ideology seemed to be a threat to them or America or whatever. But I don't think it was just the Bolsheviks or the Russians that the CIA hated. I think it was the whole ideology just in total. And if you need proof, just look around today at all the communist haters. Excuse me, like burping. Just look around all the people hating on communism today. They're not all Russian haters. Some are China haters or Venezuelan haters, or some are even Norway haters. It doesn't matter like where the communism's coming from. They just hate it on principle or whatever. So it's not hard for me to imagine that the CIA was the same way. Just hating communism and socialism on on principle and all that. Let me see. Keen hasn't been in my chat for a while. So is Keen James saying that Breonna Taylor was her fault that she got shot? That's kind of silly, but it's what the right wing has been trying to proliferate throughout the news ever since the incident. To change the narrative. I say Breonna Taylor, Jesus, her case has been probably the most successful narrative change of a cop killing that I've seen. Like, just look at how much the story's just changed just over time. It's really fucking bizarre. I don't trust it. The whole thing reeks of like just the biggest cover-up ever. I don't really have any hard evidence or proof, so I'm not gonna just assert it to be a fact, but the whole thing reeks of a cover-up. It's like Turd Flinging Monkey reeks of being CIA, but I don't have any proof of that, so I'm not gonna just assert it, but I'm putting it out there. The man never says a bad word about that organization, and when he's finally confronted on it, he gives this long, rambling, nonsensical bullshit answer. We can listen to it again. It said 1984 is about Western culture. I mean, if you look at North Korea, that entire country is just 1984 to a T. So I don't think it's just Western culture. It's just whatever totalitarian state is. That's 1984. That's all 1984 is. It's pretty straightforward. It's just totalitarianism. You find that in Korea. I'm sure there's a lot of 1984 in Russia, the Soviet Union. When Stalin was at the height of his little killing spree. I'm sure there's a lot of 1984 and cult of personality in there. I'm sure there's a lot of 1984 in China, Mao Zedong, and there's definitely plenty of 1984 in the United States now. So it's not just the Western thing. 1984 is just, it's a human thing. Any country can fall prey to totalitarianism and fascism, especially when the populace is just uneducated and just totally subservient, and they don't care. And yeah, any country can fall prey to that. But yeah, Karen says I'm just confused. The propaganda, no, the CIA for sure, anti-communist. Oh yeah. So propaganda. Orwell wrote that to warn the West, but yeah, you're right. Yep, but he wrote it based off what the British Empire did in Burma and India. Okay, yeah, I gotta research that. Sounds awful. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, 1984. I'm sure they made at least one movie of 1984, Karen. I know I've seen at least one. There's a police officer. Oh, Burma? Is that that's a man propaganda? Is it Burma? I thought Burma was a... Oh, George Orwell was a police officer in India. I didn't know that. Yeah, I'm like, isn't Burma like a city or something? But yeah. So there you go. Turfing Monkey finally said the magic word, CIA, and it was just as underwhelming and, right-wing and bullshitty as you would expect from someone like him. But, I highly recommend you guys watch this whole video, because the whole thing is gold, man. Just a bunch of right-wing bullshit, fear-mongering about protesters, just everything you'd expect. We can watch a little more. Just jump around to some random spots. I don't plan on streaming too long. But yeah, this guy's fucking gold mine of bullshit.
Defund Black Lives Matter are being identified. And so they're making that illegal because they don't want you to identify them. They don't want you to hold them accountable for their burning and looting and murder. They want them to get away with it. They want to arrest you for trying to defend yourself or trying to bring anyone to justice.
Yeah, so just right off the bat, dude, I just chose like a random spot in the video and already just Turfing Monkey just spouting bullshit. What is this whole... You guys are going to have to just keep your eyes open for this shit, because apparently there's this whole thing coming out of the right wing that you get arrested for, I guess, protecting your house or whatever if rioters are getting too close to it or trying to break in. It sounds completely made up and bullshitty to me. And I tried to find like anything on it, like stories of people trying to protect their home from rioters, and this is pretty much all I found. Let me see. Is this page right here? So, investigation in a St. Louisville couple who defended their home against protesters is abuse of power, says Senator Hawley. So, we can watch this video real quick, because I think this is like the closest thing I've seen to people trying to defend their property get arrested or whatever, or have charges filed against them. But it's they kind of were asking for it a little bit. So we'll watch the video. I'll let you guys make up your own minds on that.
Senator, these two protecting their own house, they broke down the gate, but yet now most news organizations are vilifying them.
It's an incredible thing to see, Brian, especially when you consider that this same St. Louis prosecutor has had dozens and dozens of violent criminals referred to her by the St. Louis police, and she hasn't prosecuted any of them. She hasn't even charged any of them. She's turned them back out on the streets. And then you got this couple who, by the way, are on their own property. They never left their property, just standing there with their perfectly Second Amendment right, rather, to keep and bear arms, standing right there, and they're going to be investigated? I mean, it's just insane.
But they're attorneys themselves, and I was looking...
Yeah, one thing though, if you look at the protesters in the video, they're not on the couple's property either. The protesters are in the street, and the couple's on their property. They're totally far from each other. Okay? So, what I want to know is, and you'll see it in a sec, why this couple found it incumbent upon themselves to wave guns and literally point guns at the protesters. Because that's going to rile anybody up. So we'll finish the video.
Looking at Jonathan Turley's Twitter account, who's hardly a left-wing firebrand, and he says this might be tough to defend because of public sentiment right now. You're the former Attorney General.
So as you can see in the video, like, the protesters aren't like rushing up to the home to like ransack it or anything. And I know he has a gun pointed at him now, but they're not really like that scared of it. I think if they were trying to do something sketchy with the house, they'd probably bail. But they're still there, probably because they know they're not doing anything wrong. Okay? Now, do I think the couple should be arrested for pointing a gun at the protesters? I don't know what the laws are on that. I know pointing guns at people, that's not cool at all. So, you know, fuck them. But should they be arrested? I don't know. But yeah, man, this is the only thing I could find on people being arrested for protecting their houses or whatever. Supposedly protecting their houses from people walking by it. Stupid.
Does he have a point?
Well, I mean, the public sentiment shouldn't come into it when you're talking about the law. And the truth is they are on their own property. They are standing there. They have a Second Amendment right to keep and bear arms. They felt that they were being threatened. The video shows folks on their property shouting threats at them. And the truth is they never left their property. I mean, they never went toward the crowd, got off the property, you know.
Like, even if they were, like, shouting threats at the home, like, why wouldn't you not just go inside? You can look at the protesters from inside, see, you know, if they start walking up the stairs and wrecking shit, then you can walk out with your gun and be like, hey, you know, get the fuck off my property. But, I mean, like, if you're just seeing people walking by and you just come out with a gun and start pointing at them, it's like, well, fuck you at that point. What the fuck's your problem?
Waved the guns around to get them back on the street. They stayed right where they were, which is their right to do. And the idea that you wouldn't prosecute actual violent criminals who are shooting cops, who are burning buildings in St. Louis, those people don't even get charged, yet you're going to investigate and maybe prosecute this.
Yeah, never fuck with a man with a pink button up. You know he's packing.
Couple, I mean, that's really an abuse of power.
So yeah, this is all I could find on it. I don't think people are getting arrested for defending their houses and homes from rioters. Not that rioters are even like just going out in droves and ransacking houses. If they're burning and looting stores, sure, some of them, but I haven't even read anything about them burning down like homes and shit. Like nobody's home has been burnt down or fucking ransacked. At least not that I know of. So I don't know what the fuck all these right-wingers are on about. Completely made up bullshit, but whatever. Let's see what other stupid things this so-called man has to say.
Could this be the reason for the mask mandate? Like, I mean, why the Democrats are pushing it so hard?
No.
To try and keep their thugs unidentified? Or?
Said, damn, Karen, you said your homie shot someone on his porch and he went to prison? You know, I mean, yeah, that sucks. I don't know the context of that. But yeah, those fucking assholes are like, you know, on their porches waving their guns at protesters. I don't get any of the protesters had a gun. It's like, what are you so afraid of, man? I don't know. I guess once you make that much money, you're afraid of every fucking thing. Afraid of losing every nickel. It's sad, really.
Or they would have worn masks anyway. I mean, if you look at old footage of Antifa in 2016, they were always wearing masks. Though they may have been hoodies.
Yeah, but
you know, they were still masks.
Yes, but, like, if you commit a crime and they catch you entering a store, they can pull up the footage, and, like, a short time ago, it wasn't socially acceptable to wear a mask anywhere in a public place. Well, so you'd have to take it off, and they would get a shot of you somehow.
Yeah, maybe they get a shot of you down the road, like from some, like an adjacent business, like putting your mask on. Yeah, maybe. You're giving them too much. Well, now we're stupid people. We might. It was passed under Bill Clinton. So, bank article. So, from Breitbart, Obama appointed the right wants to protest the lockdowns. Oh my gosh, they're shutting down churches. We can't stop. Important that we allow immigration.
I'm just like skipping around until I find some other stuff. There's actually a part in this video I actually kind of agree with Turd Fling Monkey on. You know, I'm not a hack. I'm not just gonna hate on everything he says, just regardless of it. Here's some things he says. I'm trying to find that one part.
During a
Capitalism is an organic outgrowth of capitalism, but they are not.
Okay, here it is.
just shows you they know it's bullshit.
I got a super chat. Wojak was for $3. TFM, corporatism is an organic outgrowth of capitalism, but they are not all the same thing. Corporatism is why healthcare costs don't drop and why college tuition never drops. We can criticize corporate donors to BLM and like capitalism. Hashtag nuance.
All right.
All right, so the answer he gives here, I actually sort of agree with. No, for now, I haven't encountered any information that contradicts it. So I'll just let him finish up.
Right, you don't know what you're talking about. The reason college is so expensive has nothing to do with capitalism. It's everything to do with government. So, just so you know, the government nationalized student loans and also made college a right. And so colleges had to come up with bullshit majors because there's money on the table. In the long ago, in the before time, only smart people and rich people went to college. But then someone did a study saying, oh, if you go to college, you're going to make so much more money than somebody who doesn't go to college. Well, it's not the piece of paper that does that. It's that you're smart and rich. Smart people and rich people do a lot better than dumb people and poor people, just as a matter of course. But they said it was a piece of paper. So they made college a right. And colleges, they started like pushing people into college who shouldn't be there. Originally, people started failing out in droves because the average person isn't smart enough to be in college. But then they said, oh, my racism, equality, and they forced the colleges to basically either dumb their standards down or create alternate degree paths for dumb people. So, okay, not everyone's going to be a scientist or a doctor or a lawyer, but you can major in, lesbian dance therapy. So we created bullshit degrees to take their money. Then we forced, normal banks do this thing called a risk assessment. So if I go in for a car loan and I ask them, they're going to look at my credit worthiness, they're going to look at the value of the car I'm going to buy with the money and what the resale value on that car is in case they have to resell it, in case I don't pay back the loan. And based on my credit worthiness and the worth of the collateral, that will determine my interest rate. But the government said, my racism, equality, and then they said everyone has to get the same student loan rate, even if they're majoring in bullshit, that they'll never be able to get a job for and pay back, because my racism and my equality.
Yeah, so, whether it was about racism and equality, probably had something to do with that. But, yeah, I think college isn't for everybody. But, I don't know whether it's the government or the corporations, whoever, but we created this whole culture that basically just scams everyone into thinking they have to go to college in order to make anything of themselves. I'm not entirely convinced that they don't have to go to college in order to have just a normal life. And I think it's pretty fucked up that you just can't, with a high school diploma. I mean, you might find a job that'll keep you hovering in the middle class or whatever. But in order to ensure that, you can get a house and a wife and a kid and a car and all that, like the American dream, you pretty much have to go to college, unless you you happen to just knock it out the park at a trade school. So I do think college is a little bit of a scam, and I agree with him there a little bit. So, I'm not a complete hack. I'm not going to say everything he says is bullshit. But, whatever. We agree a little bit there. Am I not merciful? See, I can be nice. Alright. Let's skip around and see if he has anything smart or stupid to say.
And the right does nothing. They will come after your guns. Now,
Alright, that didn't take long. They're coming after your guns. I don't even know the context of what he's saying in here, and I don't have to. So I know for a fact the left is never coming after anybody's guns. They didn't do it under Obama. Didn't do it under Clinton. Didn't do it under Bush. They're not going to do it ever. The left's not interested in taking your fucking guns. You paranoid psychopaths. That's just a paranoid fever dream you have. It's never going to come true. Alright? Just calm down, hit the blunt, okay? I don't know, dude, go to a firing range, get drunk, and pop some shots in the air. Alright? Your guns are safe. Good fucking lord.
These people bought guns. Great, wonderful. But what happens when President Biden bans the Second Amendment? You're like,
not gonna happen, you dumbass psychopath. President Biden banning the Second Amendment? Why would he do that? What would he have to gain out of that, dude? Biden's like the most Republican Democrat that there is. Where did you read that Biden was interested in taking away the guns? He didn't do it he didn't do it when he was vice president. I don't even think he advocated for it. So where the fuck are you getting this? You're just trying to just rile people up into hating the Democrats like they're the sole fucking problem of the country. There's another party too, the Republicans. Maybe you heard of them. They're not that great either. But my guns, ring over your fucking guns. Good.
Like, you can't do that. And all the federal judges like, actually, we rewrote the Constitution. And if your name is Joe Biden, you can do whatever you want. We passed a new law about last night when everyone was sleeping that Joe Biden is a dictator now. And everyone's like, oh, well, I guess elections have consequences. I guess.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about Joe Biden taking your guns. If anything, you'd have to worry about Kamala taking your guns. Because Joe Biden's probably not going to finish out his term. And I don't even think Kamala would do that. I just don't see it happening. But Biden, no, you really don't have to fucking worry.
So we gotta give our guns up. Like, it's fine until you have to do something at some point.
Yeah, and I agree, Karen. I think trade schools should probably be emphasized a little harder than college. College, it just seems like an overrated scam. Okay? And most people, they're not trying to be super rich. They just want to be comfortably well off. And they'll do whatever they can to do that. And if they think they have to go to college to be comfortably well off, they'll do that. But you shouldn't have to go into debt and take all these extra classes after high school just to have like a house and a car or whatever, you know? Well, that's just one man's opinion.
Point. You can't just, like, pointing out that the left are hypocrites for the millionth time accomplishes nothing. Like Nancy Pelosi, she broke the COVID lockdown to go get her hair done, and everyone pointed out she's being a hypocrite, and they were like hanging blow dryers in the trees outside of her house, like little nooses or something. But you're not going to vote Republican.
That was funny.
But it's funny, everyone's mad at Nancy Pelosi, but you're not mad enough to vote Republican. She's going to keep her job. Nothing's going to happen to her. So your little protest doesn't mean shit. Like, eventually you have to take action. If you're It's whatever. Ideally, right now, you need to leave the city. But this, I don't know, things are going to keep getting bad. And if they steal the election, they're going to take your guns. If you let them take your guns, it's really over at that point.
If they did the election, they're coming for your gun. If they come for your guns, they're going to put you in concentration camps with all the other right-wingers and Jesus lovers. And you can't even do capitalism and worship Jesus. Like, where do they get this shit? No one's coming for your guns. No one's interested in, like, putting you in camps or anything. Okay? Fucking psychopaths. I don't know. Like, do you watch too many movies? Like, do you have schizophrenia or ADHD? Is your imagination just out of control? Like, where are you getting this shit?
Well, you need to get the fuck out of the country. If you don't push back then, you'll never push back. There's no pushing back after that. If they ban guns and you just hand over your guns like a good citizen, you're already a slave.
Dude, this has been like it's at least a 20-year... It's been like a 20-year prophecy. Like, every fucking year for like 20 years. Like, oh, they're coming for your guns. Next year, I meant the year after that. No, I meant 2010. Oh, I really meant 2015. That's the year we're going to lose all our guns. Shut the fuck up.
You just don't know it yet. So, anyway. Okay, well, we got some super chats to get through. Random curiosity. YouTube censors re-hate facts triggered. Live stream gets cut off and channel gets banned instantly. What will progressives do after?
Yeah, that's right, Karen. Guns and abortion, that's all they got. I think that's really all I can stomach right now from this guy. Really, the entire episode, not to like plug his channel, but I'd recommend watching it. It's hilarious, dude. Like, he just goes on about just fear-mongering about the rioters and, you know, the left and feminism coming to castrate all the men, and, you know, the robots are, you know, we need more robots and shit. I wish I could find that part, because you know, he doesn't give a shit about poor people, but at the same time, you know, poor people, minorities, they're just lazy and need to find jobs. But also, he believes that robots need to do all the jobs. So he has two contradictory beliefs. in his head. You know, we need robots to do all the jobs, but we need people to stop being lazy and work and pay taxes for the government too. You see how that makes no sense? And I wish I could find it. He's been talking about like robots throughout this fucking vid. See, I'll skip around and find something. If I can't, I'm gonna probably just wrap
After
it
they
up.
reach their goal of eliminating differences between people. Well, you can't. That's the funny thing. So
Well, also remember this.
bullshit. Most people
And most
realize
states never lock down or don't do the masks, don't do any of it.
where you can go to like a
Yeah, I ain't gonna find it. Fuck it. And fuck him. Alright, so yeah, look up Syria Girl. Hell yeah, propaganda, man. Shit, nigga, I seen Syria Girl on the Action for Assange channel, which I haven't been getting any notifications for the Assange channel with like Dak and all those guys, and I haven't been getting shit for the longest. So I didn't even know they were making videos till yesterday. I seen Syrian Girl post a video of she was on the show, and I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to the Action for Assange channel. I'm like, do I got my notifications on? The bell's fucking highlighted to the max. Still subscribed. I've been getting no notification from that. Yeah, Steve. That's the guy's name. So yeah, dude, it's been fucking YouTube. They're playing some shifty games. Those motherfuckers. But yeah, we can watch Syrian. I was actually listening to them. They had a long stream. I was actually listening to that this morning. Can watch a little bit. And just get rid of this fucker. You know. Now, I thought I was fair. I was fair to the monkey. Was I not? You know? Was I not fair? When I agreed with him, I agreed. When I disagreed, I called him a shitbag. Now, am I not merciful? Alright. Let's see if we can find that. Syrian Girl Bipartisan. I think this is the one. We can watch a little bit.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Free Assange Online Vigil. This is week 64. We are joined today with a very special guest. It is Mimi, also known on Twitter as Syrian Girl. And I do have co-host Steve Poikinen with me as well. Before we do kick off, though, I want to run through some numbers. Today is day 3,578 of the illegal and arbitrary detention of Julian Assange.
Whoa, pause. Did you see Dak pulled a gun on Keane on Twitter? What? Wait, like he pulled a real gun on Keane on the virtual space of Twitter? I'm a little lost on that. You're gonna have to elaborate.
It is day 532 since Julian was trafficked out of the Ecuadorian embassy to Belmarsh prison following a $4.2 billion international monetary loan fund to the nation of Ecuador. Julian was held without arrest.
Dude, I'm pretty sure I'm already subscribed to her channel.
From June 24th, 2020 until he was rearrested at the beginning of...
Actually, this is her channel. Syrian Girl Bipartisan. So I wasn't even watching it on the Assange channel.
The second round of extradition hearings on September 7th, 2020, under the new superseding indictment from Bill Barr's Department of Justice. Today was the second day of the third week of the second phase of Julian's extraordinary rendition. We have 1,208 days of incarceration in federal custody for Reality Winner. But in good news, it is day 189 of freedom for Chelsea Manning. She does do a Twitch stream Thursdays through Sunday, I believe at 7 to 11 Eastern time. So I'd recommend going and checking that out. She is XYChelsea87 on Twitch. But without any further ado, how are you today, Steve?
I'm tired, Andrew. I'm tired. I slept.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip this part. But yeah, go ahead and send the link, Karen. We'll watch this for a little bit. It's just Steve talking about how tired he was and how he wants some coffee. And there's Syrian Girl with her bed hair. It's all good.
Is shed a light on cockroaches, and those cockroaches have obviously are upset about it, and they scuttled back into the shadows, so to speak. Basically, especially for Syria, Assange's Clinton leaks have exposed the fact that the United States was okay with working with Al Qaeda and ISIS and to destroy Syria. And that had repercussions not only for Syria but for the whole world. It also, his just looking at the Middle East as a whole as well, he's exposed war criminals, torturers, and the thousands and thousands of people that were murdered under false pretenses and lies. So Assange is a hero to us, a hero.
Here in the U.S., there's a really hardcore veil of propaganda where most people don't even realize that Julian's on trial right now until you go to talk with them about it. Is it something, a similar situation over in Syria, or is information about him more readily available through your media outlets?
Well, I'm not in Syria at the moment. I have to also state that clearly. I'm in Australia and I have Australian citizenship. And so I also see Assange in that way as a fellow Australian citizen, which the Australian government has completely abandoned.
You're a phony! Phony! She needs to change her name immediately to Australian Girl Bipartisan. I won't stand for this. Australian Girl Bipartisan. I'm gonna hashtag that shit. Phony! No, I'm just kidding. She can keep her name, I suppose.
And what I'm seeing here from the Australian media is a complete and utter blackout. Nothing about Julian. They're happy to talk about journalists leaving China because they got a talking to by the Chinese secret police, but they have nothing to say about an Australian journalist that is currently incarcerated and being persecuted politically by the US and the UK. So that's what I can see. But as for Syria, of course, Syria, here's the thing, what you have to understand. Assange didn't really take any side. He just wanted to expose lies and show the truth. And he leaked stuff about Russia. He leaked stuff about Assad, like he leaked Assad's emails. But the difference is that in the case of Russia and in the case of Assad, the things that he leaked did not contain any crimes. I mean, if you compare Assad's emails to Clinton's emails, the worst thing that they could come up with in terms of what they found in Assad and his wife's emails is that she bought a very expensive chandelier. Like, that was one of the headlines. Like, she bought this very, very expensive chandelier in the middle of the war. And another, and the fact that they love each other and he shared some music with her, that was the stories that came out of Assad and his wife's email leaks. Whereas when you look at Clinton, there was all of this pedophilia, terror supporting, illegal stuff that was going on.
Yeah, so I mean, I think that's what it comes down to. The only reason the United States is bitching about Assange is because their emails happen to have all this criminal activity and fucked up shenanigans in it. But it ain't like, WikiLeaks is just exclusively on digging up American dirt and emails. They get it from Russian, Syria too, around the world. They get whatever is submitted to them. But it's the United States charging Assange with, I don't even know what the charge is. I don't want to say treason outright, but it's something like treason, which is stupid because I don't even think he's an American citizen, which they go over later on in this video. So it's all just hypocritical, just bullshit.
So the difference between Russia, like Assange as well, he exposed some leaks from Russia about us spying, and yet still there wasn't anything of a criminal nature in those leaks. So obviously People who don't want their stuff leaked usually have something to hide, and it's usually illegal. And the reason why it's not Syria and it's not Russia that are trying to persecute Assange is because, and it's the United States that's trying to persecute him, is because it's their crimes that were exposed. And that is the position that Syria, that's why for Syria and Russia, they have no problem with Assange. And of course, for Syrian people, we appreciate what he has done. Even in leaking Assad's emails, he didn't harm the country, really.
I think later on in the video, they talk about how Assange actually did leak something from Russia that exposed that they were spying on their own citizens or something like that. Which I don't know how legal that is in Russia. Maybe it's not illegal to spy on your citizens, or maybe it's not against the Constitution. I don't know. But WikiLeaks did air a little bit of Russia's dirty laundry, just a little bit.
Because now we know we have a right to know who are our leaders, right? We have the right to understand these things that are secret, and of course, it's only criminals that don't want that to happen.
Yeah, we've made the point on the show before that the very same people who will tell me or tell you, well, if you aren't doing anything wrong, then you don't have anything to hide. Like, as soon as you flip that around on them, they freak the fuck out. And their version of freaking the fuck out is to lock up journalists and publishers and have them tortured, and to, at least in the case of the UK, pass out D notices, which come directly from GCHQ to silence a story.
Yeah, I don't get how they can extradite him either if he's not an American citizen. I do know that it was because of the cooperations like other countries that were holding Assange that they did eventually give him to the United States. And that's probably because the United States had power over these countries or whatever. But yeah, I don't really get the legality of that shit at all.
You kill a story. It's a little bit more subtle here. Rather than just issue a government decree, we've put the government on television, and now we call them experts or contributors. And a retired CIA chief can walk out and say whatever the fuck narrative he wants to, and that he needs to peddle, and people will go, oh gosh, well, he'd know, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But and of course, you also been experiencing censorship in terms of Silicon Valley, Twitter, Facebook. It's interesting because the point of Twitter and Facebook, the purpose, especially of Facebook, was to spy on people. That was the whole reason it was created.
Yeah, that's the vibe I got from Facebook. That's why it took me a long time to join. And even now, I have the name that I'm using on Facebook isn't even like my actual name. And it ain't because I haven't tried to change it to my real names, because Facebook won't allow me to change my name. You guys might have a similar experience in that. So just Facebook is just incredibly sketch. So it doesn't surprise me at all. I remember when MySpace first came out. MySpace was awesome. I don't know if you guys remember that shit. But basically, you can make your own website from scratch. Put whatever you wanted on there, whatever music you wanted. And the website just reflected your soul. That was MySpace. And you connected with all your friends and homies and family. And it was great. They got rid of that shit. And they tried to thrust Facebook on us. Where there's none of that. Everybody's page looks the same. It's very banal and boring. And it's a damn shame. But propaganda, yeah, with the Russian leaks, you're saying it's pretty much the same thing as the Snowden leak, but in Russia, it's about 1 million documents of Russian information, more than any media outlet in the world. More Russian documents, that is. Yeah, so I know that WikiLeaks, they did leak a lot of Russian documents and stuff. So I mean, they're not, not playing favorites or anything. They're publishing what they can, whatever they get.
Not only to find out what their opinions are, what their likes and dislikes are, but also like who their friends are. So unfortunately, there was a lot of peer pressure to join, and for a time, Syria banned Facebook because they knew that that was the purpose of it. Twitter was created in order to provide a platform to ignite color revolutions and wars in countries that the US doesn't like. It was around the time 2009, just 2 years before the Arab Spring, and like news travels very fast with Twitter, and it offered anonymity. But now these same social medias are being used against the countries that created them for the purpose of destroying other countries, in the sense that people are using them for activism, to spread information, to share knowledge, and now that's the reason why they're censoring them. So I guess the whole point of this is that democracy and civil liberties in the West is a complete and utter lie. It doesn't actually exist. To say it does is kind of a way to keep people blind and asleep. And what's happening to Assange demonstrates that.
Yeah, basically. I more or less agree that civil liberties, they're being eroded. To say they don't exist, it's not too far from the truth. It's like saying, it's like saying Thomas Jefferson doesn't exist anymore. You can find his corpse, like in a coffin. So I guess in that sense, he sort of exists. But the function of Thomas Jefferson, for all intents and purposes, yeah, he's dead. As are civil liberties.
Very clearly to people, and I think, unfortunately, he's paying the price to show this to us.
And as dark as it is, the prosecution on Friday, Claire Dobbins, the junior prosecutor for the U.S., went as far as to argue that you violated the Espionage Act even if you just retweeted information that had classified material in it.
Okay, so yeah, that's what they're charging him with, violating the Espionage Act.
And the implications of that are, it's like rapturous, essentially. The ability for them to just go in and remove so many people if that precedent's allowed to stand and if that legal argument's allowed to exist.
I think
even on. Oh, I'm sorry. Even on CNN, I think they were trying to tell everybody that it was illegal for you to possess the leaks, and you shouldn't read them, and you should only get your information from mainstream media about the leaks. And I think
that was either Chris Cuomo or Chris Cuomo. Yeah,
I think it was Chris Cuomo.
Yeah, told the entire his listening audience that it was illegal to go to WikiLeaks.
Yeah, but what Andrew's saying though is that they're kind of alluding to that. Ideally, I think that's where they'd like to head. That even if you so much as mention something like that embarrasses them or pisses them off, they can come for you. That's a scary thought.
Yeah, it's a precedent that we must fight, not just for our own personal liberties. So it's interesting, however, because they have no problem with the New York Times, for example, talking about having a source in the State Department with classified information that Iraq has WMDs. Like, that's allowed to be printed. We're allowed to swallow that down. But if it's anything that WikiLeaks, which isn't approved, says, now freedom of speech is dependent, I suppose. I guess I also have an interesting. Have you guys seen this movie called I forgot what it's called now? Official Secrets?
No, I haven't seen that movie.
Have you heard of the whistleblower Catherine Gunn?
That's okay. I was just gonna. That's the Catherine Gunn one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with her story. I haven't seen the movie.
Yes, so the point of the whole story, I suppose, is she was actually working with GCHQ, and it was in the lead up to the Iraq War. For anyone in the audience that or who's listening that doesn't know about this, and she saw an email that was sent to GCHQ that they're supposed to gather any information about the members of the UN Security Council that would vote for the Iraq War. So they were trying to find out anything that they can use about any of the politicians or diplomats in the UN Security Council that would vote on the Iraq War, anything that they can use to blackmail them with. And she felt that this was against the law. Not only that, she felt that it was the entire war is illegal. It makes the war illegal because they're trying to like blackmail people into voting for it. So she leaked the email, and at first there was a media storm about it. Eventually, she actually owned up to leaking the email because that was one of the only ways that she could prove that it was real, because there was all this doubt being shed on it about it not being real.
Yeah, I never even heard of that. That they were blackmailing UN Security Council members to be in favor of the Iraq War. No shit. Makes sense. Checks out. But I have to look into that.
And they were going to put her on trial, but they decided against it because the argument that her lawyer was going to make was that she didn't do anything wrong because she exposed war crimes. She actually did something in the interests of the people because she was exposing not war crimes but a crime that was happening behind the scenes. And so they dropped the charges against her because they didn't want to put the war itself on trial. And what I see happening with Assange right now and watching his trial, it seems that they couldn't handle. They were ready to put their entire empire on trial in order to persecute this man because they think that it's going to stop the leaks, but it won't. I don't think it will stop the leaks. I think the leaks are going to continue to go on because I think that there's people inside those intelligence agencies that are actually sick and tired of the wars. Chelsea Manning being one of them. They're sick and tired of war crimes being committed right in front of them because that's not what they signed up for.
Yeah, probably have to agree. I think people are gonna keep leaking things and trying to fight for quote unquote the right thing because at the end of the day, people are people. I think we know the difference between right and wrong. So when our governments, they do this shit, maybe not everybody, but enough people are going to know what's wrong. And out of that pool, there's going to be some people with enough balls to expose it. Hopefully. And I think that'll continue. And it ain't like putting Assange on trial is going to unpublish the leaks. So I don't really know what they're trying to accomplish, but, it's sad, whatever it is.
Probably they had illusions of being the good guys. So, the fact that Trump wanted Julian to give up his source, and Julian didn't, is basically tells anyone who would be a source in future that their identity will be secured, that they will continue to be safe to give up leaks. That's what's important about it.
And I think that that's super important because Kim.com actually released the conversation that he had back in February with Julian about the conversation with Dana Rohrabacher and setting up that back channel.
Yeah, that is pretty cool that he never revealed the sources. That people are, they're not discouraged from coming forward with leaks and stuff. So, saluting Assange on that one. An actual hero. Need more like him.
And Julian, even when I believe almost all of his internet had been cut already and then given back to him, he had been in the embassy for almost 7 years at that point, still said, I don't need a favor from anyone and I'm not here to do anyone favors. They have a First Amendment, they can use it. And just like the audacity and like the willpower that takes to literally just be able to stand up and be like, okay, like we're good, like I've exposed this much, I can walk away. But for him to just continue to say no, like there is truth and there is righteousness and justice, and that's what I'm going for, was really, I don't know, really powerful when that came out back in February.
And I think Mimi made a good point too, but wherever there is power, there will be dissent. The leaks aren't going to stop. People aren't going to stop fighting back. There's always going to be somebody willing to stand up. So I find some comfort in that. I don't know to what degree we'll be successful, but at least we have that.
So yeah, this is a really awesome stream. I was watching it earlier in the morning and I was kind of out of it. But hold on, we got some more messages. Bro, Keen and Dak. This is what was the name of the website that those idiots? Oh, that was on BitChute. Yeah, because Turd Fleeing Monkey was kicked off of YouTube, which I don't particularly agree with. I know why they did it. It's because he's radical right and pro hatred basically. But in principle, in practice, I'm all for the exchange of ideas and free speech and all that. So I'm not pro censorship. I'm not happy that YouTube kicked him off. Not happy that YouTube kicked Alex Jones off. They're pieces of shit, but it's like whatever. Let them speak. And I think the truth and righteousness that'll be vindicated. That'll come, and then people will realize, oh, these people are jokes. You just got to give it enough time. But yeah, he's on BitChute. Let me see. And I guess just type in like Turd Fleeing Monkey and his shit will come up. But hey, yeah, shoot me that link to the Twitter thread with Keen and I guess Dak pulled a gun out on Keen. 'Cause that sounds wild as fuck. I'd love to see that. I was gonna wrap this up, but now I'm waiting for that link because I'm really super interested now. So let's keep going.
Yeah, go on.
With you being in Australia, you're in kind of a unique situation because we have a good friend out there whose name is David McBride, the whistleblower that exposed the war crimes that were happening and the politicalization of Australia's involvement in the Iraq, and I think it was Iraq, but maybe Afghanistan war.
I thought it was Afghanistan.
And
I saw the shooting video of the farmer.
And I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on that situation too, because that was at least the first time in my knowledge that a news studio was legitimately completely raided out in Australia, with documents seized with the Australian Broadcasting Company. So could you talk about your opinion on that a little bit and your thoughts?
Yeah, it's basically, this is a police state. This is a police state, and the thing that upsets me, like, okay, if it's a police state, that's fine. Just admit that it's a police state. Don't pretend that this is a democracy and we have civil rights. Just tell people, hey, be careful because this is a police state. That would be nice, an admission like that. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, be careful. This is a police state. Yeah, that would be better. Like just honesty.
Where else in the world do you have your secret police raiding journalists and studios, other than in a totalitarian state? So, the crimes that were committed by the Australian SAS, they should be known. People should go to jail for them. This is the point. I mean, it seems that there are rules for the people and different rules for the government and the military, and that's unacceptable. And who is standing to protect the criminals? It's the police here that are protecting the criminals. and that's also unacceptable. So that's my point. I think it's like a microcosm of what happened to Assange, what happened here with the Afghanistan war crimes files. These people have crimes to hide. Like, that's the point. That's why they're raiding these studios.
So, alright, so Karen just emailed me the King James shit. Whoops. Hold on. Can't really see it. Hold on, let me just open it. I guess I'll save it. Save under art. Let's see if I can get a better view of that shit. Where is it? Oh, here we go. You, sir, are serious about protecting the honor of dead rapists. You can't even type properly, you slob. Dead? Who's the dead rapist? Is he calling Breonna Taylor a dead rapist? What is the context of this shit? You Karen, this is insanity. Yeah, look at that, looking all gangster. Is that a single action army? Some sort of magnum.
Well, and in David McBride's case, he went out of his way to go through every proper channel, try to do the right thing, send it to everyone he thought would be able to move it through chain of command, and he was dismissed out.
Okay, the guy that Kyle shot. Oh yeah, because I guess the guy that Kyle shot, they found out he had some sexual assault charges or whatever. It's like, whatever. If he was out in the street, he was either, awaiting trial, or he already paid for his crime or whatever. If he was that bad of a rapist, he probably wouldn't be marching. He'd probably be in jail. So chances are he didn't deserve the death penalty. Just chances.
Right, or rebuffed or ignored, and finally, like after exhausting himself trying to do it the quote-unquote right way, that's when he went to the press. And it's one of those situations where, like with Julian and Chelsea Manning and the collateral murder video, the only people that have ever been arrested for that were Julian and Chelsea. David McBride is looking at least 50 years if they prosecute him. He'll be the only person to go to jail for what the Afghanistan leaks showed everybody in Australia.
And we don't really get to hear about it. That's the irony, is that our media is silent about this. Like, and they're the ones that are getting raided. Like, they don't they see? Which goes to show how much under control they are. They're basically mouthpieces for the state. They're completely the cowardice is so intense, and they're happy to cover up things. They don't want to know about crimes going on overseas.
Alright, so right on. I'm not going to watch the whole thing right now. I suggest you guys subscribe to Syrian Girl Bipartisan if you aren't already subscribed. Or should I say Australian Girl Bipartisan. Crikey, we gotta free Assange. That bugger's been in jail too long. Hey, mate. I can't wait till she starts talking like that. Maybe just give her another decade in Australia. She'll pick up the lingo. That would be so awesome. But yeah, had a lot of fun today. We found out that right-wingers actually, they're not sure if the CIA is pro or anti-communism. That's pretty fucking sad. And just a testament to how fucking ignorant and obtuse you have to be to even believe that shit. So they're really weird. Is the CIA, do they want the world to be communist? Is that their secret plan? Like, how fucking slow are you? What planet are you on? But yep. Alright, cool hanging with you guys. Like, share, subscribe, all that bullshit. Alright, say peace out, Baby Yoda, because we got to go.